Sahanavavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sah Viryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. We'll chant Srimad Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2, shloka 16 to 20.
Nasato vidyate bhavaha na bhavo vidyate satah ubayorapi drishtontaha tvanayostattvadarshibhihi avinashitu tadvidhi yena sarvamidam tatam vinashamavyayasyasya na kaschit kartumarhati antavanta ime dehaha nityasyokta sharirinaha anashino prameyasya tasmadyudhyasva bharata yaenam veti hantaram yaschainam manyate hatam ubhau tau na vijanitaha nayam hanti na hanyate na jayate mriyate va kadachit nayam bhutva bhavita va na bhuyah ajo nitya shashvatoyam puranah na hanyate hanyamane sharire.
From verse number 11, where the actual Gita begins, Sri Krishna has been talking about Atma Swarupa, the nature of our true self. The answer to the question, who am I? So, Vedanta does not give us any new knowledge. Vedanta removes the wrong knowledge. You understand? Wrong understanding about ourselves is removed, then it reveals the true knowledge. So, some of you, I think, if your mic is on, I think your mic is on, please put yourself in mute. So, he removes the wrong understanding about ourselves and brings about the right understanding. And that makes all the difference. That's all he did with Arjuna. So, he starts off by giving that Atma Swarupa from verse number 11 to 30. Strictly speaking 25, but you can say even 26 to 30. This topic is called indestructibility of the Atman, the self. Your true self is beyond destruction because it is beyond birth. This is what he is explaining in this particular portion from verse number 11 to 30. So he said, first of all, your Atma is Nitya. It is always existing. It is eternal. Atma is eternal. And then Atma is Satya, means it is independent. From verse number 11, when he said wise people do not grieve, then 12, 13, he talked about the Atma being eternal. Right? And once you understand that Atma being eternal, you don't have to worry wise people do not grieve. And this Atma, which is your true nature, which is eternal, is also Satya, means independent. He talked about this in verse number 16, where he said, the real always exists. The unreal never exists, the real never ceases to be. The truth about these two is known by the seers of the truth. So there what he wants to say is, Atma is Satya, independent. And the names and forms are dependent. This individual form, which is having a name, is dependent on that Satya. So there we discussed so many examples. One of the examples is what? Clay and pots. Various pots are made from clay, right? The clay is independent of pots. It remains as clay even without it being made into pots, without it being brought into various names and forms. But the names and forms, the pots cannot exist without clay. So the pot's existence depends on clay. So it's a entity that cannot exist independent of clay. It is having a dependent existence, whereas clay has an independent existence. So your true self, Atma, is independent existence, whereas this projected self or reflected self or incidental self is what? This body, mind, intellect complex, which has a form which has been given a particular name. This is Mithya. You understand? And then in, I think last week we did 17 and 18. In 17 he says, know indeed that to be indestructible. It is beyond destruction. It is Avinash. He said it is Avinash. You are Avinash. It is Avinash means I am Avinash. So know indeed that to be indestructible, by which all this is pervaded. By which all this means this entire world is pervaded. The entire world of Nama Rupa is pervaded. Like how clay pervades all the pots. You understand? And all pervading means it is subtle. Pervasiveness determines the subtlety. Subtle means something that is more pervasive, right? So it is subtle and it is all pervading. None can cause the destruction of this imperishable. At any point in time, there is no destruction for you. There is no destruction for the real self. And then in 18 he said, these bodies of the embodied, meaning this Atma, when it reflects through the body, mind, intellect complex, it comes to assume a body. You understand? It is not having a body. It is as though having a body. That is called as Shariri. Shariri means embodied. You understand? So, he says, the Atma, when it reflects through this body, mind, intellect complex, it's called as Shariri, embodied. That is eternal. That Atma is eternal with reference to time, indestructible with reference to causation, immeasurable with reference to space. World is made up of time, space, causation. Take away time, space, causation, there is no world. So with reference to time, the Atma is eternal. With reference to space, it is all pervading. With reference to causation, it is indestructible. And the word for immeasurable that is used in Sanskrit is aprameya. Swamiji has translated it as immeasurable. But there is another meaning for the word aprameya. Aprameya, prameya means object of knowledge. Prameya means object of knowledge. Understand? Pramana means means to gain that knowledge. Then pramata means the knower. The knower, through the means of certain means, he comes to know something. That which you come to know is prameya. So, object of knowledge is what is the meaning of prameya. So, when you say aprameya, means it's the opposite. It is not something that is an object of knowledge. It is the very subject. Atma is not something that you can capture it with your buddhi. It is that which enlivens your buddhi to function. It is aprameya. You understand? You cannot know Atma. Why you cannot know Atma? Because you are the very subject, or the Atma is the very subject. It is not an object of comprehension. It is a subjective apprehension. So you cannot with your buddhi try to understand Atma. Whatever you understand will not be Atma. In Kena Upanishad, he beautifully says, it is not what you see, but what makes you see. It is not what you feel, but what makes you feel. It is not what you think, but what makes you think. So it is not what you comprehend. It is that which makes you comprehend. And these bodies that is enlivened by the Atma, they have a beginning and an end. But you have no beginning, no end. And once you understand this, you should have no problem in carrying about your obligatory duties. So therefore he says, fight, O Bharata, O Arjuna, fight. Fight means not fight with each other. Fight in the context means do your duty. Express your Swadharma. Whatever is your nature. In fact, that's why we say, when you come to understand the truth about yourself, when you gain the knowledge of your true nature, then is the time you actually begin to live your life fully. That's when you begin to live your life fully. Till then, you are not expressing yourself fully. So, moment you come to know about yourself, there is no fear of anything. No insecurity, nothing. You express your nature totally. That's why in Kena Upanishad again he says, I think it's Mantra 5 part 2. In Kena Upanishad he says, Iha cheda veti data satyam asti. Nachediha veti mahati vinashti. If you have not known the truth about yourself through the Vedas, and your life is not based on that, then it's a total loss, he says. Supreme, most great loss. Because you are not able to express yourself fully. When you are not able to express yourself fully, you are not living your life totally. So, everybody is afraid, I want to live my life, and then fag end of my life, I want to study Vedanta. But actually, the sooner you know, the earlier you know, you can live your life totally. It's ulta. It's due to wrong understanding. Shakespeare says, don't call a dog mad and kill it. You assume, you call it mad and then you put it to sleep. You understand? Similarly, you have misunderstood that this knowledge is all something that I need to learn later on because it will talk to me about, how to go to heaven after my death. So, this kind of all kinds of concepts people have about this. But actually, when you understand about yourself, you will really express your nature totally. With no fear, no nothing. You are answerable to none. You understand? So, therefore, he says, fight, Arjuna. You understand about your true nature. Do that duty, man. Fight. Rise to the occasion. Unnecessarily, you are allowing all these things to come in between. You got to rise up to the occasion. He continues. Verse number 19.
Ya enam veti hantaram yaschainam manyate hatam ubhau tau na vijanitaha nayam hanti na hanyate.
He who regards this meaning Atma. See, in Swamiji's translation, I mentioned this before also, you can see the word this given in capital T. If it's given in capital T means it's talking about the Atma, the self. If it's talking about the individual, the reflected consciousness, then it will not be in capital T, it will be in small t. So, he who regards this Atma, this also means the closest. You are the closest. Say, that America, this Asia, that Asia, this India, that India, this Delhi, that Delhi, this Vasant Vihar, that Vasant Vihar, this E block, that E block, this house, that house, this floor, that floor, this room, that room, this table, that table, this chair, that chair, this body, that body, this mind, that mind, this intellect, that intellect, this Atma. Uske baad there is no that Atma, this something. When you say this Atma, uske baad there is no that Atma. You understand? So when he says he who regards this, this means your true nature, Atma, as what? Slayer. Slayer means killer. Killer in the context should be understood as doer, doing the action of killing, of course, because they are talking about the action in the battlefield. You understand? So therefore they are talking about killing, slaying and all that. I don't know what language is this here? Coming in the spiritual class and talking about killing? You understand? So, he who regards this as slayer, meaning killer, meaning doer, and he who thinks this as slain, this is slain, something that can be killed, something that has an object of action. You understand? In the context, enjoyership. You understand? Both of them are ignorant. The fellow who considers oneself as somebody who can be killed and somebody who can kill, both are ignorant, he says. This neither slays nor is slain. This neither slays nor is slain. In this verse, he wants to say that Atma is akarta abhokta. Atma is not an object of your enjoyment, nor is it the mind that enjoys. You understand? Which can be destroyed. It is beyond destruction. So it is neither the doer nor the enjoyer. See, in this context, Swamiji gives this example. It fits in perfectly. The example he talks about is of the petrol. Petrol in a car. No car can move without petrol. Isn't it? No car. Now you say, sir, what about e-cars? Arey, cooperate. Then I'll have to say electricity. You understand? Instead of petrol. Meaning fuel. No car can move without petrol. Yet you go and ask petrol, do you have desire to go to attend this Vedanta class today in Vasant Vihar? Will you get any reply? If you are getting reply, you need to check. Nothing wrong with petrol. You need to go to a doctor and check yourself. You understand? So you ask the petrol, do you have any desire to go to the class? No response. Oh, so you don't like to go to the class? Again, no response. Petrol has no desire to go, has no desire not to go. Yet no car can move without petrol. The performance of the car, you understand, is not dependent on petrol. It is dependent on the engine of the car. You have a Maruti 800 cc and you have S500 engine. You understand? Completely different engines. But you are taking both of them to the same fuel station, giving the same petrol. You are filling it with same petrol, both the cars. But one's performance is something completely different from the other. It is to do with the engine. It's nothing to do with the fuel. Isn't it? Similarly, one car may reach the destination safely, another may meet with an accident. You can't blame petrol for it. Yes, if the car ran out of petrol, it would have not met with an accident. But you can't blame the petrol for it. Or after the car has reached the destination safely, you open the petrol tank and say, thank you very much for making me reach the destination safely. There is no point in saying thanks or blaming petrol for, meeting with accident. You understand? Similarly, the Atma in you is the enlivening principle. The body, mind, intellect per se, they are insentient. But when the Atma expresses through the body, mind, intellect, they get enlivened. Understand? Then, depending upon the mind and intellect, the quality of the personality, the results the personality goes through, the experiences, everything is based on the mind and intellect, subtle body. You understand? You can't blame the Atma for it. Are you with me? So, petrol is not the doer. So, without petrol, no car can move. Petrol is not the doer. Similarly, petrol is not the enjoyer. You don't say, okay, ban the petrol station. Because after fueling from that station only, this car met with an accident, killed so many people. So, go and close the petrol station. You never say anything like that. Right? So, petrol is neither the doer nor the enjoyer. So, Atma is neither the doer nor the enjoyer. So, moment you understand this, then you understand. When you are not the doer, you are not the enjoyer also. So, there is no pap and punya for you. There is no pap, punya for you. There is no virtue and the negative effects for you. Nothing like that. For the Atma, from the Atma point of view. Because the moment Atma reflects and you understand yourself as this individual and thinking that you are the doer, the moment you think you are the doer, automatically there is enjoyer. Are you understanding this? When you are the doer, when you do something as a doer, obviously you will have the consequences which you only will have to go through as an enjoyer. But if you do it as a witness, not as a doer, then you don't have to go through the pap and punya. There is no karma for you. The karma is not for Atma. The karma is only for a person who thinks oneself to be the doer. So in this he wants to say that you are not the doer, Arjuna. See, Arjuna's argument in the first chapter was what? He said we were about to commit sin. He includes Sri Krishna also. In the first chapter, if you go and read, he says we were about to commit sin by killing these good people, Bhishma, Drona. See, the problem is we look at beings as objects. That's the problem. You understand? We look at beings as objects. In love, you don't look at beings as object. You look at beings as beings. Understand? The moment you look at beings as object, it is lust. So when you are looking at everybody as objects, yourself also as an object, they are also an object, this is a very wrong understanding. And therefore you are considering yourself to be the doer. And once you consider yourself as a doer, then what happens? Two possibilities emerge out of it. What is it? I will do, I am doing, I will not do, I am not going to do. Are you with me? So when Arjuna said, I will not fight, why? What was his argument? We were about to commit sin. By what? Doing this action. So Sri Krishna wants to correct it. You are not going to commit sin by doing an action. You are committing sin, if at all, by understanding that you are the doer. Are you understanding the difference? An action doesn't make you a sinner or a saint. It is the doership while doing the action that makes you a sinner or a saint. You understand? So Arjuna, by considering yourself as a doer, even if you don't do, I will not do. Means what? I have no desire to do this. The moment you are not a doer, you neither have desire to do, nor you have desire not to do. Are you understanding? So in Arjuna's case, what was he saying? I will not do. Means he is only stopping the action, but he is not corrected the thinking that he is not the doer. He is continuing to think that he is the doer. Thinking that I am the doer, when I stop the action, doesn't mean I become free from papa and punya. Are you getting this? This deep thing, what Sri Krishna is teaching here. So therefore, you are not the doer. When you understand that you are not the doer, you are doing the action merely as a witness. You understand? Then you have no pap, no punya. There is no enjoyment also. Neither are you a slayer, nor are you a body that is slain. You are not an object. This is exactly what he is teaching in this shloka here. He who regards this as slayer and he who thinks this as slain, both of them are ignorant. Ignorant of what? Ignorant of their true self. Ignorant about themselves. And when we are ignorant about them, ourselves, and then we do our actions, then we will be in a mess. And that mess is what is called as samsara. The mess that we have already created and the mess that we are going to continue creating is what is called as samsara. All this is due to what? Wrong understanding about ourselves. That's all. So therefore he says, this is neither a slayer nor a slain object. From where did you get this idea that you are a killer? And how did you get an idea that you can kill somebody? You can only kill the body. You cannot kill the self. So you cannot kill anybody. You understand? First understand this. This basic understanding you must have. So drop the wrong understanding about yourself. Atma is akarta. Atma is abhokta. So it is not an object of comprehension. It is the very subject of apprehension. It's a subjective apprehension. You cannot know it objectively. You understand? It is you yourself. So he who regards this as slayer and he who thinks this is slain, both of them are ignorant. This neither slays nor is slain. So when Arjuna was talking about we were about to kill them, he's saying you are ignorant. Wise people have no problem. Wise people do not bother about action. We are all so much focused on the action. You understand? The intention, the doership, the motive. You are having a motive. If you are having a motive, who can have the motive? One who thinks oneself to be limited only can have motive. One who is complete and paripurna, how can he or she have motive? When there is nothing lacking within me, I can have no motive. You understand? Without motive, I go about doing my action. Then where is the problem? So therefore he says, he who regards this as slayer and he who thinks this is slain, both of them are ignorant. This neither slays nor is slain. Yes, Priyanka, you have a question?
So Swamiji, just a question before we move to the next shloka is with regard to Atma. I understand the petrol analogy where, Atma is this akarta, bhokta. But if Atma is not the propeller of action, because you mentioned that it's, it's neither the doer nor the enjoyer, and then, you also mentioned that we are also not the doer of action, we are simply witness, then how is action happening, Swamiji?
Okay. So Priyanka's question is, if Atma is not the prime mover, if Atma is not the doer, then how is the actions happening?
And also the fact that we are not the doer, we are just the witness.
If you understand you are the witness, it is the vasanas that is doing the action, no? Actions are coming from where? Chronology of action we studied, no? In the Vedanta class,
Right.
you are attending Vedanta class also. And I think in this class also I mentioned. What is the chronology of action? From vasanas comes thoughts. From thoughts come desires. From desires come actions. So the chronology of action is vasana, thought, desire, action. You have a vasana to paint. From the vasana to paint, the thought of painting comes. Then slowly, slowly the thought metamorphoses into desire to paint. Then that desire pushes you to search for the brush and everything. Start painting, the action of painting. Right? So from vasana comes thought, from thought comes desire, from desire comes action. Now, from action what comes again? From action again comes vasanas. When you are result oriented, when you are going on thinking about the result, when you are going on thinking about the action, while doing the action, then you are going to strengthen that vasana. So you do the action propelled by your desire, then you will be producing further vasanas. So you are supposed to do the action. You cannot stop doing the action. With this knowledge, you do the action as a witness, merely express your vasanas, not thinking about the result or having the doership while doing the action. So the existing vasanas also exhaust and you don't create fresh vasanas. So we'll talk about it in detail when we do karma yoga.
Yeah.
Even in this,
Swamiji, just one more clarification, please.
yes.
With regard to Atma being neither a karta nor a bhokta, if it is like the petrol where it gives no direction to the car, and it is not the cause of, speeding or an accident, then, we say that, bhakti yoga, lean towards God, we ask, Atma or the self or the God or the higher self for guidance, right? That,
No,
oh
no.
Lord,
You have
guide
the
me,
higher
guide me.
self for guide. Okay. Priyanka, I think your question is, if Atma is Akarta, Abhokta, where do we get our direction from? Do we get into Bhakti Yoga and say, okay, God somehow give me the direction?
Correct.
It is God who has, if you look at it from that angle, I am also using the same terminologies to go along with your words. If God is who is going to give you direction, He's already given you the intellect to direct yourself. You understand? There's a very interesting story. There was a huge deluge, flooding in a particular village. So there was a great devotee of Lord Narayana in that village. So when everybody was trying to escape, somehow catching hold of log or this or that, they were trying to escape, from flood. And they called him, "Hey, come here, you also escape with us." He said, "I am a great devotee of Lord Narayana. He will save me, he will save me." And he's drowned completely. You understand? Then, because he is a great devotee of Narayana, he went to heaven, not hell, as per the story. And in heaven, he was very angry with Narayana. He said, "All my life I've been only talking about you, giving pravachans on you. And then every time I say Narayana, Narayana. You never came to help me at the time of difficulty." He said, "Arey, what? So many people like you are calling me. Where will I go? I sent you so many people. I sent logs." You understand? So many logs I sent. So many people I sent. You never took their help. So in other words, what this story is trying to tell is, you have been provided with what is called as buddhi. With that buddhi, you have to give direction to yourself. And that is the idea we are studying Bhagavad Gita. We are studying Vedanta. To gain this knowledge for what purpose? To give direction to our life. All of us otherwise are nothing but a bundle of energy. You understand? This bundle of energy requires to be given a proper direction. And what can give us direction? The buddhi that is fortified through the knowledge. When you gain wisdom through the reflection on that knowledge, your buddhi becomes strong, which can guide the mind. Like the driver. The driver only can properly drive the car and take the car safely to the destination. Similarly, you have to drive yourself through the knowledge, strengthening the buddhi. Is that okay?
Thank you.
Yes, Sirishji.
Thank you, Swamiji.
I have a question.
1 minute, I'll come to you. Sirish is asking something.
Linkage between doership or lack of doership and papa and punya. What is that relationship?
See,
Whose papa punya is it when it happens? If it's not the doer.
no, there is no pap, no punya. Punya. Karma continues. The karma in the sense, the every action there will be. Okay, Mr. Sirish is asking a question here. If there is no doership, there is no enjoyership. But without doership, when I do an action, will it have a result or not? That's your question. It will have a result in the external manifestation. But the internal pap punya is not there for that person. You understand? Then I am doing an action with an intention. For example, when a police shoots a terrorist, will he be imprisoned? Why? Because he has no motive to kill anybody. You understand? Whereas another fellow who has motive to kill a terrorist, that fellow will be imprisoned. Are you with me? But the police shooting will kill the terrorist. The external results will happen. But he will not be imprisoned. Are you with me? So therefore, when you do an action without doership, or with doership when you don't do an action, think about this. Doing an action with doership. Not doing an action with doership. Doing an action without doership. Not doing an action without doership.
Can you give an example for that? Not doing an action with doership.
Not doing an action with doership. Arjuna is the best example. First chapter he said, here Mala is asking, can you give an example for not doing an action with doership? Arjuna, I will not fight. I will not fight means what? He is having the doership. He is saying, please remove Bhishma Drona, then I will fight. So it is not that he doesn't have doership, it is not that he doesn't have desire. It is just that he doesn't want to fight against Bhishma and Drona. He still considers himself to be the doer.
So doership is like the duty.
I am the doer attitude. This individual is the doer. But if you understand what Vedanta is teaching, is you, the Atma is not the doer. When Atma manifests through this body-mind intellect, and you wrongly identify with this body-mind intellect complex, assuming an individuality, then you think you are the doer doing these actions. That very doership is the luggage you are carrying on your head. The moment you have accepted the doership, then all the luggages, whatever you do, is on your head. The moment you understand through knowledge, remove the doership, no stress, no strain. So, doing an action with doership, not doing an action with doership. Doing an action without doership, not doing an action without doership. You understand? In the sense, you use your buddhi. And the buddhi says, you have to do this. Your nature, for example, in my case, let's say, your nature is teaching Vedanta. Your obligation is to teach Vedanta. Now, with this understanding of Vedanta, I am not identifying with my body-mind intellect, let's say. I am identifying with Atma. Then I am teaching Vedanta without doership. Okay. This is called doing an action without doership. Another is, my buddhi says, there are certain actions which is not to be done in the context. Right? So I should not do that action. So, having the same understanding about myself as non-doer, I don't do that action. So, when I have the non-doership understanding, whether I do or don't do, no sin. No virtue also. You understand? But when I don't understand myself as a non-doer, when I wrongly understand myself as a doer, then whether I do or don't do, I will have consequences. The papan punya. So all Sri Krishna wants to make us understand is, you are so much focused on what action to do, what action not to do. This is good, this is bad. Wise people don't get into this good bad thing. In certain context, what is good, in another context, it may not be good. Yes or no? The actions can be, in some context, good. In some context, may not be good. In all these contexts, what is fixed? Whether you are a doer or not a doer. So, therefore, understand. Have that clear understanding. Develop clarity about yourself. Once you develop clarity about yourself, then it's a tamasha. So that's why, you see, the background of Bhagavad Gita is battlefield. Background of Bhagavad Gita is what? Battlefield. Where they're not playing with each other, they're killing each other. Isn't it? So, even though you are killing, you are not going to incur any sin. Whereas Arjuna, if you withdrew from the battle with doership, even though you are not killing, you are going to incur sin. Because with the doership, you avoided what you ought to do. Omissions and commissions come to play. Therefore, you will be incurring sin. Yes, Puneet.
So my simple question is,
Yes, Puneet, before you, Jaya has been waiting. Yes, Jaya.
so one is this, that how do you what do you tell to your mind? Like, we have to use our buddhi to do the action. How do you tell your mind that this is not the doership? Like in the case of the battlefield, Arjuna finally has to think that it is for the larger good that he's doing that. He's not doing it, but this action is to be done. Then how does he omit doership in the action? What has to be his mind set at that point of time is one thing that I want to know. Like you are saying, you are teaching, like the policeman case you said, that policeman is, his intention is to stop the crime, but the terrorist's intention is to commit the crime. So terrorist involves doership, the policeman doesn't involve doership.
See, the policeman example has a limitation. Okay. So, I won't use that in all contexts. Okay, Jaya's question is, how do you tell the mind that you are not the doer? It's not you tell the mind. You can't tell the mind. No, 1 minute.
Yeah. What knowledge? Yeah.
To the extent you are studying Bhagavad Gita, Vedanta and all that, and you are reflecting on them, and you are doing nididhyasana again and again, bringing it and reflecting about it, and strengthening your buddhi in that direction, to that extent the knowledge will settle down. And to the extent the knowledge is settled down, you will go and do your actions either as a doer or a non-doer.
So the thing is, when we do something, suppose even cooking at home, which is an offering to the Lord, is that kind of giving up on doership?
See, you may be doing it as a doer. She's talking about somebody cooking prasad and offering it to Bhagavan. You understand? Now, a person may do it as a doer, a person may do it as a non-doer. That is okay. That is okay. But when you are doing that action, that very action will slowly remove the doership. You know, we sing that bhajan in the class also, before the class. Chit chora yashoda ke bal, navanita chora gopal. Chit chora, he removes these kind of nonsensic thoughts. He steals this kind of stupidity from you. You understand? When you go on offering, what are these rituals and all that? These rituals and all that are meant to be done only from that point of view, to take away the wrong understanding, ego, to cleanse your mind. That's why we say chitta shuddhi and chitta ekagrata, purpose ke liye. So there are people who are devotees who offer it as a doer. I am offering to Bhagavan. Then slowly, when their understanding deepens through this, they themselves say, Tera tujhko arpan kya lage mera. When you sing that Aarti, even if in the beginning you are thinking you are offering, क्या आप ऑफर कर सकते, किसको आप ऑफर कर रहे हैं, किसका? ये पहली, first of all, the first thing is, it is Bhagavan's only. So, I am taking it from Bhagavan and I am giving it back to Bhagavan. So, slowly, your understanding deepens, your attitude changes, you become more and more purified.
Sir, that is why somewhere it is also said in these scriptures that when we do selfless work, maybe gradually this also comes up, doership is lost in practicing.
Correct. Karma yoga, bhakti yoga, jnana yoga, all have to be done together. You are not being told, you've not been told to do only one. See, when you read Vedanta Treatise book, there is this chapter which is called 4 yogas. I think we are in 3 states of consciousness, then comes the 4 yogas later on. Now, 4 yogas means Hatha yoga, Karma yoga, Bhakti yoga, Jnana yoga. And Swamiji says, you got to do all these 4 yogas together, according to your personality. Somebody maybe have to do more of Karma yoga, because they are more of extroverted people. Somebody is more emotional, then they may have to do more Bhakti yoga. Somebody is more intellectual, they might have to do more Gyan. But nobody is exempted from any. You are supposed to do all the 4 yogas, integrate it and do. When you do, Chitta Shuddhi, Chitta Ekagrata happens, then Jnana Nishtam, Jnana also will start getting established in you.
Thank you, sir.
You understand? That's what you are supposed to do. Yes, Sanjay ji, I will come to you. Before that, Puneet has been waiting. Yes, Puneet.
Which one the first yoga you said, please?
Hatha yoga for the physical body and prana.
Physical. Okay.
So if we think about it only in context of this shloka, Krishna is telling Arjuna that you are not the doer. Hence, if you do this action, it's okay to do this action, right? That's my answer. But it does not explain that if you are not the doer, then inaction is a good ramification. Not doing the action, not fighting the battle is not bad. You are not the doer. If you are the Atma and you don't do this action, why is that bad? That's not explained in this, right?
No. Puneet's question is that the 4th part, which I said, understanding that you are a non-doer and you don't do an action. You understand that 4th one. First is, as a doer you do, as a doer you don't do. 2. Then as a non-doer you do, as a non-doer you don't do. So Puneet's question is, as a non-doer, when you don't do an action, what is wrong in it? Nothing wrong. But that is what happened with Siddhartha. When Siddhartha, who was born as a prince, you understand, he understood that his nature is not to continue as a prince. So he gave up his kingdom and he went and pursued knowledge, meditation. That's okay.
I'm saying in this context, when Krishna is trying to explain to Arjuna why he should continue.
Why he should continue? Because his nature is that. I think somebody's mic is on. Please put yourself in mute. His nature is that. If he has risen above that, he doesn't have to. See, you are now in the world, you are continuing as a grahastha. Tomorrow you consciously take a decision to become a sannyasi. I'm not suggesting, I'm just saying. Right? Let us say you've decided. Fine, you don't have to do it. Nobody expects you to do it also. But before you bring in sannyasi, you should understand something about this non-doership. Otherwise, sitting there as a sannyasi, if you are still developing these thoughts, put your money in this, put your money in that, because you are into that field, economics. Now you are wearing the akar rope and all the time giving suggestions to people as to where to invest. Now, might as well be here. This is what Arjuna's case, no? In Arjuna's case, Sri Krishna is advising him, otherwise why would he come to the battlefield? You won't come to the battlefield and argue, Baba. You would have sat at home. I'm not coming. Like Siddhartha, who later on became Buddha, Gautam Buddha. You understand? Siddhartha was very clear. Baba, forget about it. I'm giving up everything. You understand? Arjuna didn't do that. He came to the battlefield He said, I would like to see who all have come to fight. He wanted to do SWOT analysis. You understand? And then Sri Krishna said, okay, Bakra mil gaya abhi. Because unka problem wahi hai. He is very well skilled, excellent experience, knowledge, skill, sab kuch hai. But this fellow has a weakness emotionally, that Sri Krishna knows. So, okay, you want to see who all have come to fight? Come on. He took the chariot and placed it right in front of Bhishma and Drona. Senayoru bhayor madhye ratam stapaya me achyuta. Sri Krishna is telling, take my chariot and place it in between both the armies. I would like to see who all have come to fight. Arjuna is asking this. And Sri Krishna said, Acha, okay, chalo, ajao. He took the chariot and placed it right in front of Bhishma and Drona. After that only he spoke. After that, in the portion in the first chapter, please go back and listen to that video which we have already lectured on, first chapter summary. There I've spoken about all this. Bhishma Pitamaha has already blown his conch. Then Sri Krishna blows his conch. Arjuna also blows his conch, which means what? Declaration of war. ये सब होने के बाद Arjuna is saying, take the chariot and place it in between both the armies. I want to see who all have come to fight. After that he says, पाप है पुण्य. अरे बाबा ये सब पहला सोच के आना पड़ता है. You understand? So, which means what? Arjuna is very much interested. He is still a Kshatriya only. He is still a Kshatriya. In the story they say, after the war and everything, much later, Arjuna is supposedly asking Sri Krishna again, Arey, you said something in the battlefield. Ek baar bol sakta kya? He said, forget it. You understand? Forget it. See, the nature is still there. You be in the world. Sannyas is not for you. So that's okay. You want to choose that lifestyle, nothing wrong in it. But the most important thing is doership, non-doership understanding. Once you've got the understanding, it doesn't matter what lifestyle you follow, it really doesn't matter. In the Bhagavad Gita itself, there are shlokas, yat karoshi yadashnasi, yajjuhoshi dadasi yat tapasyasi kaunteya, tat kurushva madarpanam. What lifestyle you follow, how does it matter, man? Krishna was not a sannyasi. The thing is, people will say he's an avatara. Let's not get into that discussion. Sri Krishna was not a sannyasi. Lord Rama was not a sannyasi. You understand? So many people, King Janaka continued to be the king. And when you read Ashtavakra Gita, it's fascinating. King Janaka continued to be the king. He was a realized soul. But he continued to be the king. So what is wrong? In fact, King Janaka's example is quoted by Sri Krishna himself in the Bhagavad Gita. You understand? So therefore, you choose what lifestyle you want. But the most important point is you should have the knowledge about yourself. When you have the knowledge about yourself, you clearly understand that I, the Atma, is non-doer. I am paripurna. When I am complete, what is there to do or what is there not to do? I gave an example in the class also before. Swami Ramtirtha, when he was in US, many hundreds of years, 100 years ago, when he was in US, there was some, marathon, organized. He participated in the marathon, he came first. It is not that he has any interest in running in the marathon and want to come first. He saw the marathon, he felt like running, he ran and came first. Even if he came last, doesn't matter. Vedanta is not saying don't run or run. It's saying understand that you are a non-doer, then you choose what you want to do according to your nature. So the varieties of realized masters in every different field. Some were seen totally engaged in the world, some were seen completely resigned from the world. All varieties are there. Swami Ramana Maharishi hardly spoke. If you go to Tiruvannamalai, people come from all kinds of countries. You would have not heard about that country. People come from there. He never went anywhere to lecture. He was just sitting there. Very little he spoke. That is his nature. But Swami Vivekananda, Swami Ramtirtha, they were lecturing. Swami Chinmayananda, our Guru, Swamiji, their nature is different. So, it's got nothing to do with what you do. It's to do with how you do it. What is your understanding? Yes, Sanjay ji, now you can ask. Sanjay ji, are you there? Yeah.
So my question is that as a doer, I think most of us are doers. Will take some time, maybe, to get there, to think of ourselves, to understand what it means to do something or be a non-doer. But my question is that it's not easy to always know. It's very hard to figure out what is the right thing to do. There's a lot of subjectivity, ethics, moral context. Even if it were like maths, even then everyone's not good at maths. So you might make the wrong decision, being well-intentioned, even then. So this accounting of pap and punya, is that, how does it work? Because you may penalize someone, he's just not intelligent enough, but his heart was in the right place, wanted to do the right thing, still did the wrong action. So how does this work? And because it surely shouldn't be held against someone who doesn't have the smarts, is working towards the knowledge, but doesn't have the smarts to make the right choice.
Yeah, okay. So Sanjay ji's question is, it takes a while for us to understand all this and establish ourselves in the non-doership. Till then, we do have this doership with us, and it is not as though our intellect is also well developed to know everything in different periods of time as to what is right, what is wrong. So sometimes we might do things which are wrong. So how to go about? Am I right? So first of all, there's a very interesting Shakespeare's advice. Basically, it's Polonius' advice in the Shakespeare's play, Hamlet. Polonius is advising his son Leatus when he is going to France for higher studies. So Polonius is giving that advice. Shakespeare's advice given through Polonius. What is it? He says, in the end, after he gives so many advice, in the end he says, to thine own self be true, and it must follow as night the day. Thou canst not then be false to any man. He says, to thine own self be true. To thine own self be true, and it must follow as night the day. As how sincerely night follows the day and day follows the night. That sincerely you must follow your conscience. In the areas where you are not clear, you follow your conscience. Right? To thine own self be true, and it must follow as night the day. Thou canst not then be false to any man. You may not be right that action, but you are not false to anybody. This is the best you can do. And with reference to the doership, in the 12th chapter, beautiful steps are given in the Bhagavad Gita. It's called Bhakti Yoga there. There he says, he goes in the, descending order. No, ascending order. First he talks about the highest level, then he comes to the lowest. If you can't do this, do this. If you can't do this, do this. Descending order he comes. The end last he says, okay, forget about everything, man. You have the doership, no problem. Oh, just because you have doership, till the time you get the understanding that you are non-doer, can you stop your action? No. You have to continue. Life has to continue. So what do? Okay, you are the doer. At least do it as an offering to me, he says. Renounce the fruit of action. Bhagavan, I am still having the doership. Right? I will get there one day. Right? And until then I have to continue my actions. As much as possible, I am thinking and doing my actions. Sometimes I may be going wrong. But still, I have to continue. Therefore, I am doing these actions. When you continue with this attitude slowly, you are also continuing to develop your intellect. You are also continuing this attitude. Slowly, there will come a time you will develop better clarity. You will also overcome doership. Therefore, in Bhagavad Gita, he says, It's okay if you have the doership, but renounce the fruit of action to me. In the sense, there is this law which gives the results. So the results will come to the person. Now from the other person's point of view. Because Sanjay ji gave one example. He said there is an employee working under me, right? So I take certain decisions. He doesn't have wrong attitude, but his skills are not so good, so he might have done something wrong, right? But I have to take certain actions as a boss. So I do certain actions. Now what happens? How does this karma and all work? For which I am saying, to the extent his intentions are clear, to that extent he's not going to have bad karma. If he had negligence or intention was bad, to that extent there will be bad karma. You understand? But to the extent he is not putting in effort to develop a skill, he will have to face these kind of repercussions. Is this clear?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah. So let's conclude the class now. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.